Delaware County Council meeting of November the 26th. It is 9:05 a.m. I call the meeting to order and lead in the pledge to the allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Ballard.
Here.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Here.
In case I need them.
Ms. Chambers.
Present.
Ms. Lassiter.
Here.
Ms. Piper.
Here.
Quakenbush.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Here. Has the agenda been posted?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions on the agenda from the council members? I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes. Now, the first thing on the agenda is a little bit of an awkward thing. Denise called me when she was doing the minutes. She didn't know exactly how to do it, so I contacted Mr. Hughes. Right at the end of the meeting, we had an earlier vote on a resolution number 2019-034. And Mrs. Chambers asked to change her vote, and I said, well, I guess that'll be all right, or something to that effect. And so Mr. Hughes sent me a copy of Robert's Rules of Order. And for changing one's vote, a member has the right to change his or her vote up to the time the result is announced. After that, he or she can make a change only by permission of the assembly, which can be given by unanimous consent. So what I'm asking for now is for Mrs. Chambers to repeat her request, and then I'll need a motion to approve her request, and we'll have a roll call.
I would like to change my vote on 2019-034 to a no vote.
Thank you. Do I hear a
I will
motion?
make that in the form of a motion.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Jane, second by Larry. Roll call.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes. I'm teasing Mary. Okay, now then we need to move on to the minutes. Approval of the minutes of October's meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Larry, second by Jessica. Any additions or corrections from the council? I've reviewed the minutes with Denise. I think we got them all fixed up pretty good. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to Mrs. Patterson with the transfers and financial agenda.
Okay, financial agenda, down processing IT 362, software maintenance.
You can do transfer first.
We always did financials first.
See why it's changed.
This afternoon.
We did like that last month.
I didn't know you changed last month. Wasn't on first. Okay, 10,000, total request 10,000. Do you want me to go ahead and read the second one too?
Sure.
Data IJS 361, equipment maintenance 10,000, total request 10,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Jane, second by Jessica.
There was some discussion in finance on this. Jim, you want to come up and just kind of tell everybody what this is all about?
Jim Flood from the IT department.
The maintenance that we run into a lot on all of our maintenance contracts come due in the last quarter of the year. And so anything that comes in and is an increase, I don't know about it before we go to budget hearings, since I can't even put it in the year for the year before. These items are software maintenance for the financial systems, software for the IBM computers, and the hardware for the IBM computers that we have. If we let these lapse for any reason and have to reinstate, especially on the IBMs, there will be a reinstatement fee, to bring it up to date and then pay the maintenance at that point. So that's the reason I come here normally I kind of wait till let it roll over into the first of the year and we'll pay it then and try to get through, but we just can't seem to get caught up with that. Maintenance keeps going up.
We talked about if these don't get paid, there are fees for non-payment.
Reinstatement fees, yes.
All that stuff that goes along with them. So we didn't feel like there was any other choice than to pay them.
And plus, in next year's budget, they did allow an increase, right, in both of them next year?
I went back and looked, it was just in the 120,
Oh, was it?
61, it was just the 5,000. But I'm hoping that we can curtail that by eliminating some older equipment and decommissioning it, and remove some of that for maintenance and reduce some items for maintenance.
After we do the roll call on this, stay there, I want to question you on something else while you're here. Or you can stick around, I want to talk to you sometime in the public meeting. Okay, roll call.
Ms. Lassiter,
Yes.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes. If you don't mind, fellow council members, I was reviewing for this budget, utility costs and such, and I discovered an item I didn't understand, and Rebecca explained it to me, and Jenny and the commissioners explained it to me a little bit. It's a fee for the technical hookup to Purdue's IT system, which I'm sure you're aware of, but it's in the utility budget. And I think next year, when you prepare your budget, or after the first,
My budget.
pardon?
It doesn't come through my budget.
Well, we should put it in the IT budget though, is what I'm saying, it shouldn't be in utilities.
Why isn't it an extensions budget?
Well, I don't care where we put it, I just don't think it should be in the utility budget. That'd be all right with me.
I never knew we paid it. Have you, where's she at? I thought it was.
Right here.
Yes, we have always paid that.
Always, for years?
Molly can probably explain it better than I can and Jim, but to my understanding, we get kind of a break on our internet service.
Jen,
Right.
can you sit at
Through
the,
Purdue.
stand at the podium, please?
Do you want to explain
Yes, the internet that we use for the county to get out to all the outside resources we need to get to is provided and helped with, it's not on. This wasn't on.
Did you turn it on?
Is provided with the assistance of Purdue and the extension office. They give us a break. We share the internet link that comes into the building with Purdue, and we pay like 2/3 of the bill, and they pay 1/3.
But it sounds like they pay the entire bill and then we reimburse,
To them, yes.
the way it's billed out.
Yeah.
Okay, my, I guess, challenge to you and Jen related to the commissioners is, I don't personally think it ought to be in utilities, I don't know, I need another opinion on that, but
Well, the Comcast circuits that we have for 3 or 4 of the locations around the county, within the county building, the YOC, those are all going through and being billed, taken through utility.
I see that. See, Comcast. Well, I guess it's a question for the IT committee to discuss then, if you'll follow up.
Okay.
It just caught my eye, I thought, utilities, I don't think of that as a utility.
Now it's-
Comcast is a telephone bill, but a cable shared with another group just doesn't sound like it's a utility. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. So what? Sorry.
We'll get some information and
Okay.
get back to you on that,
But
okay?
just trying to, just caught my eye. Okay, we're gonna move on to Metropolitan Planning Commission here, okay?
That's withdrawn.
Right. Okay, next item is prosecutor.
Prosecutor, 398 witness fees, $11,883.75. Total request, $11,883.75.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by James, second by Jessica. I'll explain that, Mr. Eric.
Good morning, Eric Hoffman, Delaware County Prosecutor. If you may recall, at budget time, we had asked for $20,000 for 2 expert witnesses on 2 separate cases that we were working with. I was hoping those bills, those invoices would come after the first of the year. They started billing early, 11,000 or so. So we're not asking for any additional money. We're just asking to get at it a little sooner. So we can pay those bills, and then come January 1st, take $11,000 out of the 20 that we put in our budget for witness expense, and put it back into the county general.
Sounds good. Appreciate that.
The invoices are actually over $19,000.
We found some money to cover the gap.
We just need the $11,883.75 to pay both claims.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Thank you.
On this next one, I think it's the,
The next 2 have been withdrawn.
oh, I have?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
That's the rest of.
For Doc.
The DOC grant, 1122 has been withdrawn. The project income, 2501 has been withdrawn. And then in January, Elizabeth will come back, she's here somewhere, oh, back here. She turned these in as additional appropriations and they weren't. They were supposed to be corrections because the DOC, at budget hearings, they said DOC might make changes to the budget. So they did. So now, in January, she'll come back for both of these funds. The DOC grant will have transfers in and out to make adjustments. And the project income will be asking for an additional appropriation to help offset some of the DOC changes. Plus, at budget hearings, they weren't aware they were supposed to build in raises. So in these corrections that are going to be turned in January, she'll also have the $750 raises like everybody else did. And we'll just have to make it retroactive. We'll miss 2 paychecks. $750 ain't that much they're going to miss for 2 paychecks, but there's a lot of transfers in and out and corrections that need to be made. So we'll do it all in January
So
because it's all next year's budget.
it'll all be a
And we can't
corrected,
do additionals till then for that anyway.
it'll be a corrected annual budget.
Yes, both of them basically is gonna be corrected annual budgets. It's just one, the project income, she needs additional appropriation in, and we have to wait till then just to make sure there's enough cash in the fund to fund it based on revenues information I was given. Right now, there's not, but we're just like 99% sure January there will be, because they're not gonna spend all the budget that's in there in the project income this year, so we'll have I'll have a realistic figure come January 1st, what kind of cash is in there, but Elizabeth is nice, sit down and went over all of it, and like I said, we're 99% sure it's gonna be fine, but, so.
Anybody else wants a copy of the financial agenda? I've got a couple extras
So that's all on the financial.
here. Okay, ready for transfer, please.
Okay. Get to the right one first, okay. Regular financial. transfer. Circuit Court, D 137 minus $127, C 137 plus $127, total request zero.
Move for approval.
Second. It was Larry.
Larry and Jesse. Got it. Questions? Finance approved that, okay?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. You're right.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Jail, C 153 minus $5,037.40, D 153 plus $5,037.40, C 120 minus $3,778.10, D 120 plus $3,778.10, D 140 minus $5,452.80, E 140 plus $5,452.80, 225 inmate clothing minus 2,000, 224 inmate meals plus 2,000, 226 uniforms minus 570, 224 inmate meals plus 570, 314 testing for new hires minus 2,000, 224 inmate meals plus 2,000, 393 schooling minus 5,200, 224 inmate meals plus 5,200, total request zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jessica, second by Jane. Questions? Roll call.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes.
Lowett Jail, B 115 minus 5,667.05, C 115 plus 5,667.05, total request zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
By Jessica, second by Larry. Questions? Roll call, please.
Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes.
Public Defender, the first one should say D 179 minus 3,500. The second one should say E 179 plus 3,500, total request zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Jessica, second by Ryan. Scott? Roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes.
County Extension, 211 office supplies minus $489, 372 copy rental plus $489, total request zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jessica and Scott. Question? Roll call, please.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Transfer addendum, commissioners, 173 health insurance minus 90,000, 311 contractual plus 22,000, 325 utilities plus 22,000, 384 Meridian Services plus 46,000, total request zero.
Move for approval.
Second.
Was that you, Ryan?
Is Larry? Larry.
Larry, excuse me. I thought it was getting better.
You're batting 50%, Ron.
Oh, okay. Larry and Jessica. Sorry. Well, when you started out today, you were real strong in your voice, and then you weakened
You wear me down, Ron.
Let's see if you pick it out. Any questions? I have a couple of comments about this. Like I said, I did a little research, and Rebecca ran me off a detailed list of all these utilities and such. And one of my questions was, it showed the county general paying the utilities for the new project, but after her explanation and Rebecca hitting another button on her machine, she ran me where the reimbursements were coming in from the contractor on the job. So that solved that question, but it didn't actually show up. Contractual services, all I can ask you to do, Jen, is relay to the commissioners that that's an exorbitant amount of money for that particular line item. I don't know what it all entails. I'm not a commissioner, but it's in excess of $200,000 this year, plus another 20,000 from edit. So it's a lot of money for that line item. And I noticed that you've been transferring in, covering some and from other places, which really isn't fair to the budgetary process. But all I can ask you to do is just ask them to look at that close and see if they can't get it pared down some. I mean, that's a lot of money. If you want to comment, go ahead.
Jenny, Commissioner's Office, Jenny Honeycutt. You know, I think a lot of it is to John Brook. You know, we have a lot of lawsuits that we're dealing with.
Okay.
A lot related with the jail. That's been a big increase over the last couple of years, for sure.
And that has been, where we do pay those additional fees for the county attorney.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, that's all it is.
Yeah, that's what most of it is.
I mean, if anybody wants to see it, I've got it right here.
Right.
And I can provide it to you. But yeah.
And thank you for helping me on this stuff yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Jenny, there was some discussion, I think, that there was it the Meridian Services line item you guys had to borrow out of?
Yes,
For,
to
do you remember,
cover insurance costs earlier in the summer, yeah.
to cover insurance costs earlier in the summer, and now there's enough in insurance that you're getting that?
Yes, so the Meridian Services, that's the state mandated payment that
Okay.
Donna does twice a year.
Yep.
And it's a big one, it's, I think, up to like 644,000 in
Yeah.
2 installments. We had borrowed from that and put some of it back in, but still needed 44 or 46,000, I think, to cover the remainder.
Thank you.
As long as you keep track of it, because that one has to be paid. I know, yeah, we can't get around it. Can't
Absolutely.
end up at the end of the year because
Yeah.
we tried that one time. And then
Did
they come back the next year and made us catch it up.
Ah.
Remember that?
Yeah, you wouldn't listen to me.
I'll leave on
There's that 90%. You're
Yeah.
right.
There you Very well.
Yeah, I'm just guilty as the next guy. You know.
Sometimes I do know well.
Okay, so now we're ready to
Roll
vote on that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Commissioners, 126 VA Education Officer minus $1,038.
Those next two have been withdrawn, commissioners in the clerk's office.
And I do need to say something before.
Yeah.
Oh, there
I
you are.
forgot.
There you are. Okay. On the clerk's request, his original, the intent was to pay out the employees that are,
Yeah, I have two
Okay.
employees that
And we
will
can't
not be
prepay.
here next year.
we cannot prepay.
I'm not asking to prepay, but I'm asking to move the money so that I can pay it when it's due, because in the 2020 budget, I don't have any money there.
I know, and at budget time, you should have left money, and we can't move this year's money to next year. So come January, you're gonna have to do these transfers. We can't prepay. If we put this in there now, it's gonna die at the end of the year, because we only get paid through the 18th of this year. The 19th, there's 9 days, those last 9 days of the year carry over and are paid out in next year's budget. And when you presented the budget hearings, you should have left 9 days on all 3 lines. I didn't know when you were letting them go, so now the only thing you can do is in January, come in and request, and the council give the blessing the other day that they'll still get paid on that first pay in January, but you'll have to do the transfer at the January council meeting to cover the expenses.
Well, I wish I'd known that earlier too. Okay, thanks.
Well,
And I had told him the other day, the two, but you really got three positions you have to do, not just two, because you've got three positions that 9 days are gonna carry over at the end of the year, unless the one that's staying starts in the new position on December 19th, then that would eliminate that, so that's all I do.
So that's this year's pay. but-
Right, there's
but-
9
but
days.
The payroll doesn't come out till January.
Right,
For the last
nine
pay.
days
Yeah.
of this year carries over and gets paid out on the first pay of January, so when he presented his 2020 budget, he should have left 9 days in those three positions.
I understand it 100%. I'm gonna ask
Does anybody else know that?
Mr. Craycraft right now then. I've been around this horn 2 or 3 times, trying to get payroll on a twice a month basis, 24 pays instead of 26. I've never really totally understand why it can't be that way, but there was some former auditors that were getting a lot of pressure, I guess you might say, and they decided that they didn't want to do that. But it does make it complicated, and I don't think it should be. It's that simple. If we get paid twice a month.
What's complicated about
It
it?
was complicated when you used to pay out the whole budget by end of year.
Oh,
And then
well-
start over because you get 1 day in January, so this is better than what it was.
Well, then we'll just drop it. then.
Well, remember years ago, we used to pay all the way up to December 31st on the last pay of the year, and so we prepaid days. And so that's when the state come in and said, you gotta quit prepaying, you have to go to a bi-weekly, and our salary ordinance even states, this is an approximate salary, and it shall be based on,
26 pay.
tells you the first pay of the year, and they're the ones that made us do that, because we were prepaying like 8, 9 days years ago all the time, and I mean, you prepay me and I'm not coming back in January, you think I'm gonna come back when you've already paid me?
Rick, we're gonna, at our December meeting, and most likely we'll do like we've done in the last few years, and just give the auditor the authority to make those.
We'll work it out, and I'll have a
Yeah,
clear,
we'll get it worked
clear
out.
picture of where I'm at there too, so that's
But
great.
if there
I
isn't-
I understand.
Is there another
I wish I'd have
employee?
known it ahead of time, but I understand.
I figured you knew, you were human resource director.
Oh, wow, that's a bang.
Well, you would have had to
I
know
mean,
that.
I figured you knew what you're doing when you put the budget and nobody asked.
She's learning from me, Rick. These are called left-handed compliments.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I wasn't aware of the thing, so I'm out. Okay, election.
Okay, equipment repairs, $361 minus $250, polling places plus $361, $250, total request zero.
Move to approve.
Second,
Moved by Scott, second by Jessica. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Communication Center, longevity, 124 plus 1,200. Officer in charge, longevity is 199 plus 1,200. Officer in charge, 129 plus 1,000. Telephone backup center, 367 minus 2,200. Total request zero.
Move to approve?
Moved by Jessica,
Second.
second by Scott. Any questions? Any comments? Glad to see you back.
After you talk about this, I've got a logistical hiring question for you.
Okay. We'll just vote on this then, roll call.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Let's go ahead and do your other transfer and then we'll,
Longevity,
You say yes or no?
yes.
at 911, longevity, 199 plus 500. Holiday pay, 195 plus 3,000. 324 telephone minus 3,500. Total request zero.
Move to approve?
Moved by
Second.
Jessica.
Right.
Ryan. Second by Ryan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes. Okay. You're on deck.
Paul Singleton, Director 911. I have a new position at 911 for 2020, and since the new monies start December 19th, is it appropriate that I fill that position on the 19th, or do I have to wait till the first of the year?
I guess that's a question to the auditor.
I already asked her, and I
Reach
asked
out, and I
you.
said,
Well, he called and asked me, but I don't know that I can answer that question.
I mean, Bill, if they start on the 19th, that pay actually comes out of the 2020 budget.
And so why can't he hire him?
That's what I said, but I said that.
Well, that's, you
I
just
mean, it
mentioned
works the
the,
other way here.
right, right, you just mentioned
You're
to
not
Rick
gonna
about,
be prepaying.
right, you just mentioned to Rick about moving, if he moves somebody into that slot on the 19th, that'll take care of it, so.
Well, that person's staying.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's 2020,
Yeah.
it's 2020's money. So, I'll bring this to the finance committee, but Ron said that's probably a question for the council as a whole.
I don't think you have to bring it to the finance committee. It's already approved in next year's budget. I would just say if anybody's opposed to it, say aye, otherwise we're all in favor.
Because I hire from my part-timers, so I'll have someone immediately trained, ready to go into that spot. I'll just move them from a part-time pay line item into that new full-time spot on the 19th.
Are you gonna have enough money in there to pay them through the year?
Let's come down next year's budget.
It's,
Yeah, it's all
Starts on the
budgeted.
19th.
okay,
That
it's
pay,
all budgeted.
that'll be the first pay in January, but they'll work
Yes,
a few days full-time instead of part-time
yes,
this year.
yes.
I mean, it just boggles my mind, but I'm going to stay out of that because I've been in it before. I think you're good to go, Paul.
And it's not a utility. Thank you.
He owes me a couple of whacks.
Will they have to work on Christmas Day?
He owes me a couple.
Picking up on my speaker.
Okay, where am I at here? I'm right here. Guess we're ready for the famous motion to approve transfer, amend the salary.
I'll make a motion to approve transfers and to amend the salary ordinance with like reductions.
Second.
But shouldn't it say additional appropriations and transfers? In that motion?
Same motion we've used for a while.
I'm not sure it is.
Stand by. Same as last month,
Well, I just noticed it,
before.
sorry.
What?
Well, it doesn't say anything about additional appropriations in that statement.
You've already approved the additional appropriation.
Oh, we have?
And the transfer, really. You
Okay,
have to make a motion to amend the salary ordinance due
okay,
to the appropriation.
Yeah,
like that for as long as I've been here.
okay, sorry. Man, I'm getting nitpicky, aren't I? Gee. Okay, we need, let's see, Larry made that motion. Who seconded it?
I did.
Jessica? Roll call. I'll be all right.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Quakenbush.
Yes. Okay. Now we are ready for committee reports, tax abatement. Anything on that, Scott?
Nothing on tax abatement.
Appointments?
I will say that, that we're working on appointments, and hope to have those ready for the the December meeting to approve, so we won't have to have an early meeting in January
Okay.
in there. So if there's anybody, that, I know I've talked to some of you already, but if there's anybody that you'd like to keep appointed or would want appointment or would think would be good for appointment, let us know pretty quick and we'll see if we can make that happen.
And I've sent letters to the whole council of the people that have submitted requests to stay on the boards.
Right, yep, we got those. He was here earlier, but I don't see him here now. Just to bring it to everybody's attention, because I guess this would fall on appointments. We took an appointment off of Visitors Bureau for non-attendance. And my understanding is the director went to the mayor and reappointed that same individual to put on the Visitors Bureau, and then he didn't show up for the meeting. Just to make you guys aware of some of the stuff, and we may have to have some discussions about that, about what's going on with Visitors Bureau. So anyway, just FYI.
I have been doing this for a while, and I've passed the baton over to Scott and Jessica because I'm gonna nominate them for office next year, so I wanna take a little break. And so they're working on the appointments. I've met with both of them and reviewed the process, and they're doing their due diligence, and I appreciate that very much. And now we have Gay Barrett, who I don't think any of us have met, except maybe Jessica.
Yeah.
And Gay, welcome to the county council meeting. We appreciate your coming, and we appreciate your patience.
Not a problem.
I warned her that she would be later on in the agenda.
Yeah, I was duly warned, so I'm okay.
So if you'd like to introduce yourself,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about yourself, or whatever you'd like to say.
All right, thank you. Good morning. Gay Barrett, board member for the Animal Control Board. And in advance of this meeting, I submitted a request to continue my service through 2020. I consider it a privilege to be a member of the Animal Control Board and would like to continue. My goal is to provide increased transparency and better communication throughout the board to the community and the taxpayers. I've been a part of the board since August. There have been 4 held meetings, of which I was included in 2 because there had been a date, time, and meeting location change, so I'm trying to iron that out. The board meets at Care Animal Hospital unless there is a hearing with a community member, and then it is held at the animal shelter. So we're trying to iron that out, and I want to get better transparency behind that. But my goal as a board member is to increase that transparency with the community and the taxpayers, serve our silent community members, which is our animals and our pets, who we all love dearly. I love mine. And also to uphold local ordinance and the interlocal agreement. So I would entertain any questions that you have, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Anyone have any comments?
We appreciate you coming and giving us an update, and I guess I was gonna call you because I'm going through this list and calling, but it sounds like you want reappointed.
I do,
All right, well,
as a
that's
matter
great.
of fact.
I'll save you a phone call.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
perfect.
I personally, as president, have always emphasized that in a letter when someone's appointed, that we'd like to see them come to at least 1 meeting a year and report. And some do and some don't, but few don't than do. And so I appreciate your taking your time to
Absolutely.
come in and introduce yourself, because we don't always, someone like Jessica, I gave her an assignment as president. I said, Jessica, help me out here. I don't know too many people that are interested in this field, so I really appreciate what you're doing and appreciate you're going to continue on, because transparency has been very important to this council over the years I've been here.
It's
And
important to me
I
personally as
appreciate
well.
your making those comments.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Personnel, human resources, we have anything on that? We had some things that we talked about. I don't think any of that's happened. There was some things out of court. Let's see here. So, okay, we're good to go. Ordinances, none that I know of. Resolutions, don't believe we have any. I have a little bit of new business. I prepared a letter to be endorsed by the council members in regard to a little bit of budget, a little bit of thanking the employees. If you all received your copy of this. Okay, I have an original here to be signed. The letter says, a tradition of Thanksgiving has been practiced in our country since the early days of settlement. In the meaning of this holiday, the members of County Council wish to thank you all who have worked with us in many ways to revive and maintain the integrity of the annual budget operating balance. These efforts have resulted in salary increases for 2 consecutive years, some additions to the sheriff employee benefits negotiated by the commissioners, and keeping paramedics on staff at EMS. Due to an unusual situation, the auditor was compelled to borrow a minimum amount from a local bank this year, but with your help, this should not be necessary in 2020. How can everyone continue to help? In past years, many departments have purchased items looking forward to the next year and then encumbering unused balances in their budgets. This practice not only creates a lot of work for the auditor's staff, but it also decreases the carryover operating balance. Bottom line is, we are asking, if you don't need it until next year, don't buy it with appropriations for 2019. Please note, with your cooperation of practicing due diligence in addressing staff turnover, it has saved approximately the amount of funding to cover the 2020 salary increase for all general fund employees. In closing, thank you in advance for your continued support and cooperation in managing your fiscal responsibilities. And I'm just asking the council members to sign that. I don't think I need a vote on it. And it's here. It needs to be dated though. I haven't dated it. Dated today. Okay?
Okay.
Put that in your little file, please, for signing.
Okay.
Okay?
Are you gonna pass it down?
Yeah,
Oh, you already
please.
got it down there? Okay. Appreciate everybody's signature. I hope you all, I didn't hear any response back from anybody that disagreed with me, so that's kind of, I think we all appreciate it very much. Doesn't make our job any easier, but it sure makes us feel a lot better when we can operate prudently and not borrow money. Now, I have one other thing here, I think. I recently received an email correspondence from an Andrew Cullen, who's with the Public Defender Commission, noting that a member of the current commission term is expiring and the state statute has changed so that Public Defender Board for Delaware County is composed of 3 members, 1 appointed by the county commissioners, 1 appointed by the county judiciary, and 1 appointed by the Public Defender Commission. So I corresponded back and asked the gentleman how the public was going to know this was available. And he sent me this. So maybe I prompted it, maybe he already had it, I don't know. But anyway, I shared this with the prosecutor and I put a few copies out there. If anyone is interested in working as a member of the Public Defenders Commission, you should contact this fellow right here on this letter. I've got 1 copy left. If anybody needs one, we may have to run some more. So I see most of them are picked up. Okay. That's about all I have. Anybody else have anything to say today?
I want to go back to the mayor's appointment. You know, that concerns me. I don't like-
On the tourism board.
Tourism board. When he was removed, it was by the ordinance of that established that board. I mean, I remember reading the language, I'm not sure exactly. But, you know, I'm definitely not one to play games with this stuff, so whatever we need to do as a council, fix that.
Well, we didn't know that the mayor was going to do that.
Well, I understand, but.
The guy hadn't been there for.
Exactly, but if we remove a member, regardless of the appointment, the people that are allowed to appoint them, it's still, there's probably language within an ordinance or whatever that establishes that board. I mean, his continuation, whether he's appointed, period. I don't know.
I think this may be able to be corrected after first of the year when we have a new mayor. But I don't know. I agree. I mean, it's, you know, it's just another another thing that's happened over the last 3 years, in my opinion, and we've asked Bill to request a copy of an agreement, I guess, and he's received that copy this morning. I think Jim brought that by this morning, but, you know, there are several board members that are frustrated on the board because they're trying to improve the Visitors Bureau, and it seems like there's one thing that continues to stand in the way, so.
There's always that one, and this one here is unacceptable.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, I mean, I would make a request for Bill to also, I mean, I hate that it would have to ever come to this, but to request to see whether or not we can adjust or eliminate the tax that goes along with that.
I think we have that right to do it.
Well, yeah, the council approved it in the first place. Just have to, by ordinance, just amend the ordinance.
Exactly.
I mean, what, I mean,
Maybe we
there-
need to not eliminate the tax, but distribute it someplace else.
well, I think certainly if we can have the information, then we can have the discussion on that.
Well, could somebody want to take up, or I'm sure we can all find the ordinance, at least get the ordinance in a general email, so.
I had the ordinance at finance.
Okay, if we can get all in one email where we make sure we're all reading the ordinance, and then see what we need to do afterwards.
I'll send out what I have,
Okay.
which is both the ordinance creating the commission and the ordinance adopting the tax.
Okay.
Well, Larry, I think what really brought this out a little bit was when we found out they had about $300,000 in the bank. You know, I kind of remember back in a few years ago when there was a big deal at the Civic Center Authority where they'd had a savings account out of the country. Remember that?
Yeah,
And once this came up, Scott kind of came to me and started talking, and I encouraged him, and we actually heard this fellow that we took off the board eyeball to eyeball admit that he hadn't been to 7 meetings.
As far as the 300,000, my understanding was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the fact that they had been putting that back for the purchase or some sort of a lease agreement for a new facility to help offset that. I think that's a conversation when this was brought up a couple of years ago.
I tend to agree with you, except their budget, the revenue coming in has been increasing
Oh, absolutely.
year after year, and they were paying an exorbitant amount of rent down there on High Street. That's why they moved in the first place, although I don't think the place they moved to was nearly the right place, but trying to, what.
I'm not a big fan of games when it comes to this stuff, and anything we need to do is
Yeah.
stop it.
Well, Larry, you've been in both chairs, and so you and I tend to look at this maybe through a broader spectrum, but just like, Miss Barrett, she came here to our meeting today and was very sincere, and the first thing I heard was transparency. And that's one of the most difficult things I have as an appointer, an elected official, appointing people to boards, that then all of a sudden, they forget their allegiance to the taxpayers, to the elected officials that put them there. And that's actually what's happening here is the people that put people on this board, just our board and maybe before us,
Well, I'm gonna
have lost the contact. And Jane's gone to a couple meetings this year, and that's part of, we're on board with you, we just haven't figured out how to unravel it yet.
Well, I'll be transparent. You all know where I stand with the fairgrounds. And Ron was there. We were talking to the Visitors Bureau Board, and we've got this 43 acres in the middle of Muncie. And they told me they had no interest in supporting or helping fund that. And you guys out there all know that this board, Donna, Melanie, we have to make the money to pay the utilities. Now, we get some help from the county, we couldn't do it without it. But the Visitors Bureau can give $30,000 to the parking garage to the hotel. They give money to the downtown development. And less than a mile from here, we've got this 43 acres that could certainly use. I don't know how you could not consider it
Absolutely.
a visitor's location. When we have gun shows, we have livestock shows, we have flea markets, we have all of these things
Parties, wedding receptions.
It's all family oriented for the most part too.
that brings in these people to the center of Muncie. And Ron will tell you, I was told they were not really interested in helping support us. Made my decision real easy.
When you mentioned the request for putting a nice informational sign out there, and that would have been an asset to the Visitors Bureau as much as it would the fairgrounds, because you could have co-opted and advertised different events, not just fairground, but I thought that was an excellent way to join hands.
And I was told twice in that meeting by the president of the Visitors Bureau that they presented that to the board. Jim presented it twice, and the president of the board looked at me and said, and it was denied twice. I thought, okay.
Scott, real quick, this is the first I've heard of that. I mean, has anybody talked to the director of the Visitors Bureau? I mean, is there a justification as to why this occurred?
Not that satisfies us.
Okay, well, I just didn't know, I mean,
that,
it's just odd that, you remove somebody and they're reappointed.
Well,
Can someone tell us what's going on? I mean,
yeah, I guess on that particular point, I can tell you that he had said that there needs to be 2 hoteliers on the board. By law, there only has to be 1 on there.
Where the statute. I never heard 2 anyway.
States, but he claims there needs to be 2 on the board. But this is just another incident that we're having to deal with, and it affects the Visitors Bureau. I mean, I get as many complaints on that as I do roads, on what's going on at the Visitors Bureau. So, that involves the sportsplex and things like that, and we need to probably put some focus on that, and I think we will.
And there has to be, I mean, there is record of attendance, like they have to show up to these meetings, right, or a certain
Look
amount.
at the minutes and you can see this individual was not there.
Yeah,
Well,
what
plus-
I'm saying is, it's a requirement to obviously be there a certain amount of time.
Ron and Jane and I sat down with Jim and the board president and this other person. I'm not gonna mention his name because I think it's embarrassing.
Right.
that
Well, there was
he's
3
missed
board
this
members
meeting.
there.
Were there? Okay.
At least 2.
Anyway,
2.
we'd talked to him face to face about and agreed that, if he continued to come to meetings throughout the rest of his term, that would be satisfactory with us, and then he missed the next one. Obviously, we reappointed then again by the current mayor and missed the very first meeting out of the gate. So, and there was no time in between those 2, so it causes reason for concern. I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely.
But Larry, just to answer your question, I've been on a couple other boards, and that's not the first time it's happened, because I've seen it happen
Well,
before, where
yeah,
somebody go off and they just be immediately.
right, I
put
mean,
back
being
on.
appointing people to boards is a task of its own. I mean, it really is, and trying to keep everybody within the realm of the ordinances and how they're supposed to be there and how to act, and politically balanced boards are even more of a chore, because, again, most of these boards are through the day, and a lot of them, and it's hard to just find people who are willing to do that. And I get if somebody gets up and bumps near an absentee issue, then, if they've had an illness in the family or something like that, I mean, that's one thing to discuss. But, these boards are created by ordinance or ordinances, and it specifies exactly what it needs to be able to serve on that board. And if one person has neglected to show up, and then the other appointed authority appoints the same person, again, it's still under that ordinance. That's, and we know what, I suspect that's just part of protect somebody on the board.
I also think it's fair that if you were to become a board member and for some reason your job changes and you're no longer available to meet at that time, but you just have the responsibility to step down from that board, and, you know, it's a bummer if you can't do it, it's something you're passionate about, but life happens and sometimes you have to make those changes, but to be upfront and honest and let us know if we need to reappoint somebody.
Most of the boards know that, I mean, if somebody has missed their attendance three times, then they really ought to notify the appointing authority on there, and I don't know, maybe we need to make that a requirement if it's not already, but anyway.
Well, it sounds minimal. I mean, when you talk about boards and appointments, it sounds so just, if you want to serve on a board, but these boards affect our lives more than a lot of the elected offices that we hold. The BZA board, planning commission, those affect your property values, zoning regulations, something that may or may not be built right across the street from you. I mean, a lot of these are very important. Anyway, it sounds like we're going to address it.
Well, and that's another example. I know there've been some meetings with the two boards. You just mentioned one of the boards in particular where enough members haven't shown up to make a decision, and then you've got all those people coming into the meeting to plead their case, and that's not happening. So, I mean, I guess to stress, make a point of this, I mean, it is important that if you're appointed or accept an appointment, that you attend the meetings and ask questions. I mean, I think it's real important. Otherwise, I'm not even gonna say it. I'll stop right there.
Well, an example of that, Mr. Bowers in the audience today, he's our appointment to the Housing Authority, but he's filling out a position that the former member wasn't going to the meetings, and I got a complaint from the director of the Housing Authority, a written complaint to that effect. I contacted the individual, and he was an attorney here in town. He was just too busy. His practice had just taken off, and so he sent me a letter and resigned, and I appreciated that very much. But he wasn't reappointed, so again, you know what I mean? It was, so, and you know this, Larry Moore, it's just tough. You just, it's first you gotta find somebody that's willing, and then you gotta make sure they're gonna do what the statute or the ordinance says. And it's complicated, but it's serving what we believe is our grassroots government. We're serving the people in this community, and they're paying the bills. And I scrutinized these budgets this morning a little more than I usually do because of the numbers. But in a lot of cases, the county council appropriates the money, but once we appropriate it, it's difficult to keep a handle on everything because we're not the person spending it, even though we approve it. And there are some people, and it aggravates me a little bit sometimes, that they'll call it my money. Well, it's really not their money. They're spending, when you're in business for yourself, and I have been for many years, many businesses, even though that money came through my checkbook, it wasn't my money because I owed somebody for the material or service that I performed, and I got the profit if there was one. But the only part that was mine was the profit, and government doesn't operate with a profit.
Jane's gonna go, TSA's waiting.
And Larry has a bill appointment.
Okay,
So motion to adjourn.
Hey, thank you all. We still only took an hour, 1 hour, that's pretty
That's not
good, isn't
bad.
it?
That plane's leaving with or without Jane.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We got the vote.
You got the,
Thank
I
you.
second it.
Second, thank you.
Yes.
All in favor?
Take care.
Aye.
Have fun.
Aye.
Good